Welcome to Marketing for the Small Business. I'm your host, Braedon Kruse, recording live here at the BLU Studio. Today, I'm going to introduce our featured guest, Tim Fitzpatrick with Rialto Marketing. Tim enjoys chatting about the importance of the marketing fundamentals, what they are, and how to get them right. Today, we'll be discussing the 3 marketing fundamentals that you must have to drive consistent, repeatable results. Unfortunately, many people skip them and wonder why their marketing isn't working. Here are 3 things Tim and I will cover for you in this episode. A simple way to hone in on your ideal clients so you can make more money and get great results for your clients every time. The 2 biggest mistakes businesses make when selling their products or services and how to fix them. Last but not least, how to create a simple marketing plan for consistent, repeatable results. In this episode, you will get simple, actionable advice about nailing the marketing fundamentals that lay the foundation for long-term success. Let's dive in. Take it off, Tim.
Braedon, thanks for having me, man. I'm excited to dig into this with you today.
Me too. Very excited. Glad to have you on here. So tell me a little bit about Rialto Marketing and like a little bit how you got started, and then we'll kick off on the topics.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started Rialto Marketing back in late 2012. Had multiple shifts in the business since I started it, but today we're working primarily with B2B professional service firms that want to accelerate revenue growth and attract more ideal clients. So they know they've got an opportunity for growth, and they're just unsure how to make it happen. So we help them. We come in, we help them remove the revenue roadblocks that are in their way, and run their marketing for them so they don't have to.
Oh.
The one thing about marketing, there's a lot of things I love about marketing, but one of them, it's dynamic, it's always changing, but man, the fundamentals of marketing in any discipline, they don't change. They're immutable. And so many people skip them and wonder why things aren't working. And we want to clear that up for folks. So that's what we're doing.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things too about marketing is it's always a new challenge. It's especially when companies like mine, agencies like mine, don't necessarily stick to a particular niche, right? I have favorable industries, but each industry too, and each niche is kind of like a new challenge. You got to try to overcome, get creative in new ways that other companies haven't before, and try to help these clients stand out, look different, sound different, feel different.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. So much fun.
All right. So how, tell me about one of the first marketing fundamentals. What is it? So we talked about, we need to talk about a simple way to hone in on some of our ideal clients, and how we can make more money and get great results. Right. So
Yeah.
how do you go about that?
So when you look at, so we're going to talk about target market. We're talking about messaging, your message to that market. And then we're going to be talking about a plan to get that message in front of those people. Right? These are 3 of the biggest revenue roadblocks that we see when we work with clients. And it's just there's so much information out there right now. With marketing, it's a lot of people are just battling information overload, Braedon, and they just don't know where to start, right? And they default to just taking action and getting tactical,
Mm-hmm.
without really having a foundation in place. And when that happens, you waste time and you waste money, which I don't want for anybody. So everything from a marketing standpoint starts with your target market. Who are you going to serve? How are you going to serve those people? If you don't understand that, you're like marketing broadly to everyone, and that's never going to work. So one of the easiest places to hone in on who your ideal clients are is to look at your existing customer base. Like, we don't need to reinvent the wheel here. Look at your existing and your past customers, and I want you to ask yourself 3 questions. I call them 3 power questions. So the first one is, who do you love working with? Why are you going to be in business and work with people that make you want to bang your head against a wall? So let's look at our customer base and go, who do we love working with? Then we need to look at who are our most profitable clients. Totally okay to make money. Frankly, if we're going to serve our clients at a high level.
Well, unless you're a
need to make money.
nonprofit, right? You're you're in business to make money, right?
Exactly.
And I'm
There's
sorry,
nothing wrong
like
with
even
that.
if you're a nonprofit, you still have to. I mean, you're a nonprofit to support something. You still have to figure out ways to find money and obtain it and share that, right?
Yep, absolutely. Then the third question is, who do we get great results for? Okay, so when we ask ourselves these 3 questions, we have a small group of current and past clients that we answered positively to all 3 of those questions. So we know everybody in that group we loved working with, they're extremely profitable, and we got great results for them. Now, people that are watching, listening, like if you were working with people like that day in, day out, how much better do you think your business would be? Like I've never asked that question, had anybody go, "Oh no, my business would be worse." Right?
Hmm.
There's no way. You're going to be happier, you're going to be making more money, and you're going to be your clients are going to stay longer because you're getting great results for them. They're going to want to do more work with you. They're going to want to refer you. So it is that group that you start to dig deeper to identify who your ideal clients are. And you identify who your ideal clients are and dig deeper by looking at a few different things, the demographics and the psychographics within that group. The
Have you
demographics are
read
the numbers.
the Pumpkin Plan? Have you heard of that?
I have heard of the pumpkin plan. Yeah.
I've read that book, and I love it. It was a great book, and this is kind of making me think of that book. That's just why I'm bringing it up.
Yeah.
And the author does a great job at helping give some actionable items and stuff like that too. And he has one thing. It's called the client wish list. Go and ask your clientele. Go ask your customers. Hey, like, what do you wish that I had, or
Yeah.
what do you love most about what I do? What do you hate most about what I do? Whether you're a hair salon or a dumpster company or you're B2B and you're in IT or whatever it is in tech. It's always good to kind of go back through that list. I heard about every 2-3 years, sometimes more frequent depending on how fast you grow. But
Yep.
to make sure you review that list and hone in on that audience and make sure that your team is aware of that audience as well, right?
Yep. Super important. Right. And so that's the easiest place to start to identify who your ideal clients are. When you look at the demographics and the psychographics, which is getting in their head, right? What are the common problems they have, their aspirations, their dreams, their goals, you know, the roadblocks that they have as it relates to what you do. When you can start to get in their head and the demographics help start to define like who these people are, now you're starting to create a very clear picture of what these people look like, and then you can start to branch out and really it gives you the fuel that your marketing needs. But until you know who your ideal clients are, nothing's going to work. So we've got to really understand who those people are. And when you go through this exercise, what'll end up happening is typically you'll end up having 1 to 3 subgroups that share commonalities, and it's those subgroups that are your ideal clients. You should not, in my opinion, you should not have more than 3. Frankly, in the beginning, you're probably better off focusing on 1, and then you can start to expand out from there. There are all kinds of businesses out there that have more than 3 ideal clients, but they didn't start out that way. So I think you're far better off narrowing it, and then you can expand out as you get more traction. But if you try to focus on too many at one time, it's not going to work.
And could you help somebody with creating some of those audiences, or like,
Oh yeah, yeah,
figuring
absolutely. I
out,
mean,
hey, here's the 3, or here's the 1, and hey, how do I go about this, and who do I talk to, or like, that's
yep.
something that you help out with?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that when we work with clients, that's part of our process. When we work with the client, typically the first 3 to 4 months is all strategy and planning, going through some of the things that we're talking about, and then we transition into actually managing the implementation, the execution, and the optimization of their marketing plan.
Mhm. And sometimes that takes a little bit of time. I've even been a part of some strategy meetings and that beginning stages of that process. And sometimes it doesn't take 3 days. It can take 3 weeks. It's not something that you can necessarily just rush through, put it on a piece of paper and call it a day, right?
Y-
You
Yeah,
need.
it's not something you want to make sure that you're being thoughtful and methodical about it, and so that you get as accurate and as effective data as you possibly can. That's going to really drive a strong strategy.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, those are some really good tips. Now, are you ready to move into the next section, or you still have some?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, man.
So we also need to talk about the 2 biggest mistakes that a lot of these businesses make. And you particularly put on 2. So I assume that there's some very particular ones. Because a lot of businesses, we all make plenty of mistakes, right?
Yes,
So,
we all make plenty of mistakes.
and so these 2 are particular to when they're selling their products or services. And you have some
Yep.
recommendations on how to fix them based on those two things. So what are they?
Yeah. So here, as we transition to this question, we're transitioning to the messaging part of marketing. And the two biggest mistakes people make, one, they talk way too much about themselves. Like our customers, clients, whatever you want to call them, they don't care about us. The only thing they care about is, can we help them solve this problem they have and get from where they currently are to where they want to be? So when we talk too much about ourselves, it doesn't resonate, right? Instead, we really need to focus in on the problems that they have and don't want, and the results they want and don't have, that we can help them, the problem we can help them solve, and the results we can help them get.
Gotcha.
That's what we need to focus on.
Yep.
That's the biggest mistake. And look, anybody watching or listening to this, when you're done, go pull up 5 of your competitors' websites and see how many of them are making this mistake. I will be shocked if it's not at least 4 out of 5.
And mention that mistake one more time.
So you're talking too much about yourself. Okay. Our
Yep.
customers don't care. Our messaging really needs to focus on the problems they have that we can solve, and the results, the outcomes, the benefits that they want that we can help them obtain. That's the first one.
Mhm. Yeah, a
The
lot of them
sec-
are like, "Look at me, look what I can do, and look at all this stuff,
yeah.
and blah blah blah." And you're like, "Okay, I still have this problem, and I can't understand by looking at your website or looking at your social media and understand what you're doing." You know?
Yeah. Well, like before we jumped on air, Braden, we were talking. You guys work with a lot of contracting companies. Contracting companies are like notorious for this. Honestly, this is across every industry, so I don't mean to pick on contractors, but
Sure.
like if you, I live in the Denver metro area. If I pull up Denver Roofing Company and I start clicking on the websites that show up in search results, I will guarantee you that the vast majority of them, they're saying the same thing: high quality roofer or number one roofer in Denver. Like, how did, who cares? Like, we, quality is like table stakes. We expect you to be high quality. Like, what else
Oh
is
my
it?
god, I can't tell you how upset I
Yeah.
am from this. All right, so we have here in Tulsa a support COVID group. Right, there's 50,000 members in it. That it started like it was literally like if you just lit kerosene on fire and all these followers. Right, it was crazy how fast it blew up. And it's a great group. It's a great place for you to be able to make a post. And if you want to find a place to go eat, you want to find a contractor, you need help with whatever it is, right? Everybody pitches in the comments. You'll have anything 50, 100 comments where people will tag others or tag a business and things like that in there, right? But one of the things that really cracks me up about this, about this, not just this group or this page or whatever it is, but just people in general, when they post and they go, I'm looking for a reliable, reputable, on demand, convenient, budget friendly contractor to fit this hole, to fix this hole in my garage or whatever it is, right? In my wall. Um, some of those terms, like I think of it in two ways. Like one, those are all subject to opinion,
Yeah.
and and two, um, and two, I look at it from a marketing perspective, and I go, these are keywords that need to be in post. That businesses need to, that whenever they put their post out, they need to put those kind of keywords in their captions, right? Because those are what clicks in their customers' minds when they see a post that's like reliable, whatever. I don't know. I do think it's still so cheesy though. So I argue with myself on that. I'm like, okay, like because it is so opinionated, like don't use those words, right? But consumers use those to find businesses, right? But if a business uses it, you're like, oh, everybody uses those words. Like
Yeah.
I can't sound any, I don't sound different, right?
S-
It's a
So,
frustrating.
so here's the interesting thing, right? Because, so yes, of course, we want, a reliable, reputable contractor, right? But below the surface, there's something else that is really important to them, and but those are the words that they use, right? So
Or I find that they don't know how to express that. They don't know what those words are.
it could be,
They think they
right?
know what they want. But they don't really know how to express it.
So I'll give you, I want to make sure we don't miss the second one, but I'll give you a perfect example of this from a client we worked with several years ago. But so here's the second big mistake people make. they make it difficult for people to understand what they actually do. So if I land on your website and I can't figure out, like, at the top of the page, what you do, the problems you solve, how I'm going to benefit, and what I need to do to buy it, like, I'm not taking the time. Like, we are so impatient at this point because we're so used to, like, everything being at our fingertips with our phones. Like, I can find what I need in like 5 seconds. Man, if I land on your website and I can't figure it out, I'm not taking the time.
And that's not just the homepage though either. A lot of
It's
people really
everywhere.
focus on their homepage and then or just and let their other pages just go. And it's like,
It's
no,
your
like I
homepage.
could land on any
It
one of those pages from a search result or from a
Yeah,
link, right?
it's your Google business profile, it's your social media pages, it's anywhere that they're coming in contact with you. If your message is not clear, they're gone.
Hmm.
Like, somebody, I was listening to a podcast a while ago, and um the guy was talking about, I'm trying to remember exactly how he put it. But the the gist of it is, like, confused people, they don't move forward. Confused people do not buy. So when we confuse people, we lose them and they are gone. So we've got to be clear. Like, too many people try to get cute and clever with their marketing message. And when we start to make people's, like, their gears in their head starting to go, like, forget it. You lost them. It's over. So keep it simple and make it clear. Don't try to be clever.
Do you have
Right.
any
So those
examples of that?
Yeah, so this goes back to what I was going to talk about with, we worked with a siding contractor several years ago. They came to us. We were putting some strategy together, putting some messaging together. And like I said before, Braden, a lot of siding contractors, it's like, oh, we use James Hardy Siding, the highest quality siding, or number one siding contractor in Denver. Who cares? So when we started to do work for them, and we were looking at their messaging, we in this particular case, we just started to look at their reviews and started to look at, like, some of the common things or common themes that were coming up. And one woman left a review and she said, um something to the effect of, the best thing about working with these guys is that they treated my home like it was their own.
Hmm.
That's it.
That made the
That
difference.
So that became their core message. That's what they were leading with, right? How much different is that than every other siding contractor you go to? And then you go on their site and they're like, we'll treat your home just like it was our own.
I had a conversation with someone the other day, and I said that a brand is not a logo. It's what people are saying about your company
Yeah.
when you're not around. What do they tell their friends? What are the words that they use to tell their families, or potential referrals, or whatever it is, right? Or what do they even tell you? If you listen to some of those keywords that they say, like that's kind of what builds a brand. That's what creates a brand. The
Yep.
logo helps. It helps create a visual identity for those feelings, right? But
Yep.
a lot of people are like, "Oh, I need to redo my branding." Well, maybe, but that doesn't mean that you can do that in 2 days. Like, it's going to involve a
No.
little bit more of a process and building communication process and stuff, or a customer service process, or things
Yep.
that actually kind of make them feel or say things that you're like, okay, that's what I want you to say. That's what I want to hear from my clients. That's what that's what I want to. That's what I want.
Yep.
That takes time.
It's one, I think branding happens with everything that you do,
Hmm.
from a marketing, sales, customer service perspective. All of that helps build your brand. Your marketing message certainly helps build your brand on the front end. But as you pointed out, Braden, it's like their perceptions of you, that's what your brand is.
Hmm.
And so everything that we're doing is trying to, you know, steer their perceptions in the way that we want to be portrayed.
Hmm. Yep,
Right.
absolutely. It's
So
everything from invoices to how you do business and contracts to, all of it. Like, well, some people really pay attention to the details and they go, "Hey, I really appreciate your contracts. I like the way that, you do business. Like, that's good. You
yeah.
look out for me, not just you as well." Yeah.
Yeah. So with your messaging, gosh, if you avoid those these two things we just talked about, you'll be head and shoulders above the rest of your competition because most people are making at least one, if not both, of these mistakes.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. So does that pretty much wrap up our second topic there?
We could certainly dig deeper into
We
messaging
can.
if you want, and we have the time. Um, but if we need to move on, we certainly can do that. But if you want to dig deeper, I can.
Let's dig deeper into some of these topics into a part two sometime. I
Okay,
think
cool.
because
I love it.
I think we could sit here and we could run all day about some of these topics. So if you don't
Yes, we
mind,
could.
we can go and move on to the third topic then. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Which is your plan, right? If
Yeah.
what's your plan to get your message in front of the people that you intend to work with?
Yeah. So how do you create a
Um,
simple marketing plan for consistent and repeatable results? And what does that plan look like?
yeah.
Like actually look like? Is it like on a Word doc? Is it just a bunch of words listed out? Is it on a napkin at a restaurant or?
Yeah. Yeah. So one of the things I will make available to your audience is the template for the plan that we're going to run through. Okay. Um, Let me give you just a little bit of background. We look at marketing planning in 90-day sprints. Okay. Here's why. One, our businesses are evolving quickly. The market is evolving quickly. Nobody I know has ever put together a year-long marketing plan that was the same at the end as it was at the beginning.
Oh, it never falls through.
No, no,
You make it like 3 months in,
yeah,
maybe 4, and you're like, okay, this has to change. It's not
yeah.
working, or this needs to be adjusted or tweaked here or whatever it is, right?
So why spend the time to put together a year-long plan when you know it's going to change? The other thing too with year-long plans is they end up becoming pretty complex a lot of the time, and I think complexity gets in the way of you actually getting results.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to keep things simple. 90 days is long enough to start seeing traction, but it's short enough where we can start to make course corrections and wash, rinse, repeat every 90 days.
Yep.
So I guarantee you, if you follow this, at the end of a year, you will make so much more progress than you have ever made. Okay, but what I'm going to break down now is we use a 6-step template. Okay, this is a 1 or 2 page document, Google Doc, spreadsheet, whatever. The tool that we use that I'll make available to your audience is in a Google Sheet.
Very easy to use and
Yeah,
access.
super
Everyone's got
simple.
Google.
Yeah. So 6 steps, right? First step, target market. Who are your ideal clients? I want to see a paragraph at least of who each of your ideal clients are. No more than 3. It's in this plan because I want it to stay top of mind. We don't want to lose sight of what we're doing all this work, who we're doing all this work for. Okay. Um, the second step is what's our goal? What's our goal for the next 90 days? It's time bound because it's a 90-day plan, but it needs to be specific and measurable. So for example, I intend to bring on 5 new clients in the next 90 days. Okay. This typically is going to be the goal that is going to help you get one step closer to your longer term goals, right?
So
It's
it
the
needs to be
stepping stone.
smart.
Say
Smart
that
goal
again.
needs to be smart.
Yes.
Smart goal,
Yeah, smart.
specific,
Now
measurable.
here's the one thing that I'll say: a goal like this, and the way this was always explained to me, I've never heard anybody talk about it like this before, but smart goals are outcome based goals, which means there are a lot of variables out of your control that can impact your ability to hit that goal. So I just like to tell people, keep that in the back of your mind, because if you get so attached to an outcome based goal that if you don't hit it, the wheels come off, that's not serving you well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's important to know where you want to go, where you intend to go, but don't get so attached to it that if you don't hit it, it derails you, right? I think it's more important to focus on the actions that you need to take that you can control. And we're going to get into that in a minute. So that's the second step. Third step is we need to look at our budget and our resources. Okay. So in here, we're looking at how much do we have to work with? Do I have $50,000 a month in budget or 500? Do I have 5 staff members or is it just me? How much time do they have? And how much capability? Like if Braedon, you're on my team and I want you to do LinkedIn and you're looking at me like LinkedIn, what the hell is that? Um, this is not going to be a good fit. I either need to level up your skills or I need to find somebody else to manage LinkedIn, right?
Right.
So this is a really important step because if we don't know what we have to work with, it's really easy to have the wrong people working on the right things. It's really easy to bite off too little or too much in your plan. Either one is not a good thing, right? If I bite off too little and I can take on more, well, then I'm just slowing my progress and my results.
And do you think that you have to, like, whenever you talk about those 90-day sprints, do you think that you have to actually kind of try those things out with your team or resources, and you have to see, okay, well, we thought we could handle this, or, oh my God, we can handle a lot more, right? So that's why
Yes,
those 90-day sprints are so fantastic,
so
because you're
important.
able to adjust by, and also it's not, you're not looking at a 30-day scale. A lot of times I don't mind looking at like, hey, here's what happened last month, right? But I also don't want to just that be okay. Well, it was a bad month because everyone's out on vacation.
Yep.
It's Christmas time, and it was a really good month, right? So then January's numbers aren't going to look as good as December's because you're in retail. Everybody spent their money with you in December,
Yep.
right? And then they're like, "Oh no, it was marketing. It's not working." And I'm like, "No, it's just January. Like we had a really good month in December because you're in
Yeah.
retail. Like bigger picture here."
Yeah. 30 days is not long enough to see trends. So, and you bring up a really good point um, that I think is important to highlight here. There is no perfect plan. So, like, forget, oh my gosh, is this going to be the right plan? No, we need to put a plan in place and act on it. And then we can start to learn what's working and what's not. So, even people like you and I that are in this, like the plans we put together, they're not perfect.
Hmm.
It's a heck of a lot better than what most people can put together because we know, this is our thing.
It's
This
our
is what we
forte.
do.
Yeah.
But the plan is always evolving and getting optimized throughout this process. So don't think that there's a perfect plan. It just doesn't exist. Um, so fourth step, right? We target market, we've got our goal, we know what our budget and our resources are. Now we need to get a baseline of where we're starting from. Like you can't create a plan to get where you want to go until you identify where you're at. It's like my GPS. Your GPS can't tell you where the hell to go until you first tell it, well, I'm starting here and I want to go here.
Right.
So, what we need to do in this step is we need to look at what's your current marketing plan. And when I say that, Braedon, I know a lot of people don't have a plan, and that's okay. Just,
Or I feel like they don't know what to expect, right? When they say sometimes I hear people they're like, oh, I need a marketing strategy, and they think that they're going to get this binder of documents that are going to have. I don't know if anybody really knows what to picture outside of our space, right?
yeah,
Of what to expect from that, and so like everything that you're talking about here is really good to understand. Okay, 90 days, right? So you're clearly not going to expect a packet. you
yeah.
may have a couple, yeah, what, how big are these? Is this like a document thing? Do they
Yeah,
vary from like 15 pages or
not even
less,
that.
or like 5 pages at a time sort of thing? And
Yeah.
it's formatted and structured, very easy to, manipulate and change as you need to.
This is super high level. So, the details, when we get into what your priorities are for the next 90 days, it's not, if one of my priorities is to build my Facebook following, it's not build my Facebook following. Here's step 1 through 100 that we need to follow. It's
Yeah.
not that.
Yeah.
It's just our priority for the next 90 days is to build our Facebook following.
Yep.
That's what's in this. Because the details is what bogs people down,
Yep.
right? Um, so in this fourth step, I just want you to write down like what do you have in place? Like, do you have a website? Are you on Facebook? Are you on Twitter?
Check.
Do you,
Check.
yeah, do you have a blog? Are you creating content? What are you doing on a consistent basis to market your business? And what have you put in place that, it was just you needed to put in place and now it's there and it's a tool for you. That's what we need to do to start to get a baseline. Now, I'm simplifying this. I mean, when we do this for a client, we do a super deep dive. Okay. But if you're going to do this yourself, even just sitting down, going through this exercise of, okay, well, what do we have in place from a marketing standpoint? Man, you are taking a step that most people don't even think about or take the time to do.
Hmm.
So whether you go super deep like we do for a client or not, you're still benefiting from it. Once you do that, then you can move to the fifth step, which is my plan for the next 90 days. What are my priorities for the next 90 days? And depending on where you're starting from and where you want to go, this is going to be different for everybody. There's no one size fits all marketing plan. Everybody is unique. I don't care if you take two roofing contractors, the plan for two roofing contractors is going to be totally different because guess what? They're starting at different places. They have different budget, different resources, they have different goals. All of those things have an impact on what you put in the plan. So for the next 90 days, what am I going to focus on? Now, a lot of people, Braedon, at this step go, well, how do I know what to do? Like, what should I be focusing on? I want to give your audience some really actionable stuff here. In the beginning, okay, if you do not have that strategy element in place, your target market and good messaging, you have to start there. Take the time to do it. Taking the time to do it now will get you to where you want to go faster. If you skip it, you will waste time, you will waste money, and you'll be like, oh my, and you're just going to flush money down the toilet and go like, this marketing's not working. Yeah, because you don't know who your target market is and your message sucks.
You didn't start with step one.
Exactly. So start there. The second thing is your website. Everything you do from a marketing standpoint drives people back to your website, even if you're 100% referral. People don't just pick up the phone anymore and go, hey, Braedon said I need to talk to Tim. No, they go to the Rialto Marketing website first. They look at it. They may go look at our social channels. They may do a Google search.
Reviews.
They are not picking up the phone or emailing first. They are checking you out online. If your website looks like it's from 1995, you don't make it past that step.
Or again, if it goes back into like what you mentioned earlier on, if it's doesn't communicate how you solve the problem, or this help supply the solution to what their issues are, and you're all about you. Yeah, it's the same thing though too.
Yeah, you want to make sure your website has very strong messaging and a very clear path that you're leading people down. Where do you want them to go and what do you want them to do? The third thing that is very low hanging fruit, there's a couple different sides to this coin. The first side to this coin is what's already working in your marketing. Like there's something that's already working. Most people want to go, oh, well, I need to go, be on TikTok or whatever.
Right.
No, if you look at it and go, oh my God, like 75% of our business is coming from referral, I can guarantee you that you have not optimized your referral process. Do you have a process and a system in place for getting referrals consistently? Do you have a referral program? Like what can you do more of to get more referrals? And where do you have gaps that if you fill those, that process is going to be optimized? And man, you're going to generate much faster leads by optimizing what's already working before you jump into other tactics. That's the first thing. Now, the flip side to that coin is what have you stopped doing that used to work? Because oftentimes, like something's working for us, and then we just get so caught up in whatever, all the other aspects of our business or something else from a marketing standpoint, and we just stop doing what used to work. Well, go back to what used to work and start doing it again, right? So there's two sides to that coin. But those three things that I just covered are the easiest place to start with your first plan. And now you know what your priorities are. And guess what happens? When you know what your priorities are, you have clarity. When you have clarity, your stress goes down and it allows you to eliminate distraction. And there's so much distraction with marketing because now I know what my priorities are. So that when somebody, some guru next week says, Tim, you got to be on TikTok or wherever the hell the new thing is, you can go, you know what? I'm not saying no to this forever. I'm just saying no right now because these are my priorities. One more aspect to this. Sixth step is the metrics. The metrics help guide you into what's working and what's not.
I'm really glad you're pointing on this.
Yeah.
I like
So
to
many
make
people.
decisions based on data. And I think a
Yeah.
lot of people, when I ask them, it's like, where do your business comes from? They go, oh, we get a lot of word of mouth business. Like a lot of people just referrals. And there's been a couple clients where it's like we've actually implemented some process into that, figuring out the metric side. Hey, where actually, when someone submits a form on the website, you put a little checkbox, hey, where'd you hear about us, or drop down or whatever, right? When somebody calls in, you make sure that you log that and then look at the data after 90 days and come to
Yep.
find out that, okay, well, a good amount, let's say 40% or 30% of your business comes from word of mouth referrals. That's great. That means people love you, right? They love talking about you and sharing about you, and they want others to experience your business as well, or product or service, right? But then you find out, hey, you actually get 20% from social media, and you get 30% from your website. And out of that
Yep.
30% from your website, it seems like people come to your website from social media, Google, Bing, Yahoo, whatever it is, right? And so as
Yep.
you start to source these channels and rely on the metrics and the data and that process that you build, you're able to make better decisions. So it's like, oh man, 5% of my business comes from social media. Like, yeah, we need some presence, but we don't necessarily need to advertise there because all of our customers are finding us and it's affordable. The conversion rates are great. So let's say Google ads, right?
Yep. Yeah. It's what you just went through is why we need metrics, right? Metrics help us make informed, better, more effective decisions about the direction we need to take with our marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And so the most common question that I have here with metrics is, well, where do I start? Because Braden, you and I both know this. There are so many vanity metrics that don't mean anything when it comes to marketing. So many people get caught up in how many people do I have on my email list, or I have how many followers on Facebook,
Oh
or
my
how many
God, the
visits to my
follower one
website.
where people are like, and I don't know. So we've managed accounts with tens of thousands of followers before, and we've also managed some that are starting from zero, right? But there's some conversations I have, and they're like, "Hey, how many followers can you guarantee me over the next 90 days?" I'm like, "Do you want to focus on followers or actually getting new business and having loyal?"
Yeah.
Like, my job is I would rather have 1,000 loyal followers that actually comment, engage, react, share, right, than to have 100,000 people like my follow my page or whatever, and only have 10 people that interact and stuff, or 10 of them that actually see it. I'm like, that's such a waste.
Yeah. None of the vanity metrics matter unless you are generating leads that convert to customers. That's it.
Yep.
So the three
So a lot of
metrics
those,
that,
real quick, a lot of these
yeah,
companies too, a lot of these companies in our space, they're really big on selling numbers, right? So how many
yeah,
impressions can I get? How many people can I reach? And sometimes they compare the wrong numbers, or that they're impressed at the fact that
yep,
maybe they could spend $2,000 and reach 100, get 170,000 impressions on a billboard, or 70,000 or 60,000. It's so
yep,
variable. And a lot of times they feel proud that they can see something tangible like that. And they go, oh, I have a billboard. And then they're locked into a 12-month contract and they're 4 months in and
yep,
they're like, this isn't bringing us any new business. And a lot of the times I find that unless the client or an agency initiates the change for a design on a billboard, or a lot of times business owners will just send off their logo, right? And a company will just put their logo on a billboard. Now, we have a local company called Executive Homes, and that's worked, but that has only worked because they have absorbed every billboard in and outside of this whole Tulsa area, this whole region. Yeah, anywhere you go, you're going to find Executive Homes logo on a billboard, and that's worked. But outside of that, just one logo for a small business in a suburb on a billboard is not going to work. And a lot of these companies too, they don't initiate any of that change, and then they just become stagnant, and they go, marketing doesn't work.
yep.
Well, yeah,
Well,
that's not going to work
there's
for you.
there's a lot of marketers that are great at giving reports and numbers to clients that look good, but it doesn't. So clients are looking at it going, "Oh yeah, gosh, I had 100,000 impressions. That sounds great, but I didn't generate a lot of leads last month." Well, that's telling you something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So to me, there's three easy places to start with metrics. You can branch out and get much more sophisticated than this, but most businesses aren't tracking these three numbers, or at least all of them. First, leads. How many leads am I generating in a given month? In order to determine how many leads we're generating, we need to define what a lead is. Because a lead for me might be a little bit different than you. We need to define that so we know when people cross that threshold. Once we do, we can track how many leads we generate every month. The second thing we need to track, and you touched on this, Braedon, is the lead source. Where are the leads coming from?
And drill
And a
down
lot
it
of
more than just say, drill down it more than just say my website. Ask that at least one more step. Okay, they find us on the website, and that's where we're getting our leads. But how are they getting to our website? Where are they coming from? Right. So drill that down one more level, and
Yes.
that'll help answer a lot of questions too.
Did they do a search?
Yep.
Did they
Just directly type it in?
Yeah, exactly. There's all kinds of ways. And look, what we're saying here is ask people, right? If you can't directly attribute it through tracking, when leads come in, ask them. This is not 100%, but guess what? It's a hell of a lot better than where you are now because you're not even asking.
Mm-hmm.
So ask, get the data, and it's that data that is going to start to tell you which marketing channels and tactics are working for you, which is great. Because just because you're doing something in a channel that's not generating leads, now that doesn't necessarily mean that, oh, you should stop doing that. Maybe you need to, make some tweaks and updates there to get better results, but it does start to inform you on what's working, what's not, and then you can make course corrections from there. The third metric is how many leads are converting to customers. What's my conversion rate?
And that's really easy to figure out. Conversion rate?
Yeah, conversion rate is not difficult to find out. You divide how many clients you brought in a given month over the leads you generated. That's it. So and then that gives you the conversion rate.
And then at that point, it's a numbers game. So you go, okay,
exactly.
if my conversion rate is, I don't know, whatever, let's say 10%, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, if I want to generate X amount in sales and I have a 10% conversion rate, you play the numbers on impressions, right? Or reach, right? You say, okay, well, I need to reach so many people. What's the average conversion rate or on Facebook, right? So then you take that number and you go, okay, well, let's take that and let's divide it by this. This should expect to generate this amount of money in revenue.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So outside of the three metrics we just touched on, to do what to go down the path that you're starting to go down here, we do need to have some other numbers so that we can understand that. But when you get the right numbers, you can actually break it down from, hey, this is where we want to be, all the way down to this is what we need to do to get there.
And it makes it easier to create a budget, a marketing budget,
yes,
an advertising budget. You go, okay, well, if I'm trying to increase my sales by X and I get majority of my business from non-referral, right? And so let's say I get 60% of my business from website and social media stuff. Okay, well then I can spend X amount on those avenues to try to increase my sales by the goal that I set.
Yep. Well, look, just to keep this simple, let's say I have a 50% conversion rate and I want to bring on 5 new clients this month. I need to generate 10 leads at its most simple form.
Don't overcomplicate it.
No, that's really powerful. And a lot of people don't have the data to be able to have that information. So start with those 3 metrics and then you can branch out from there. But start there, start tracking it and, start to get some history there. And then you can start getting more sophisticated because those are not the only 3 metrics you should track, in my opinion. But
they're a good starting point to understand. And
point.
One of the great things about, getting into to listening some of these podcast episodes that we're making and that we work really hard on is to try to educate, right? I'm not sitting here trying to sell you as a business owner to, hey, sign up with me or sign up with you or whatever. I want you to understand how it works so you can make better marketing decisions, better business decisions, right? I'm just one small aspect of the business. Well, actually, I'm not even going to say small. We're the fuel to the fire. Right. We're the ones that help generate sales or make it easier for sales to do their job. Right.
Yeah. So, Braedon, that's the 6-step plan, man. Target market, marketing goal, budget and resources. What's your current plan? What are your priorities for the next 90 days? And what metrics am I going to track?
I love that. And I love looking at a quarterly aspect as well, right? Every
Yep.
quarter, adjust, talk about it with your teammates, your coworkers, whatever it is, right? Okay, pull your team together and say, hey, here are those 6 things that we need to discuss every 90 days.
Yep.
Are we on track? What do we need to change? How's this working? Look at the bigger picture, right?
Yep. And then you wash,
love
rinse,
it.
repeat. You update the plan, implement the new plan, and continue to review it.
And in what format did you say? Are we going to be able to share this with somebody?
Yeah. I'll tell your audience exactly where they can go to get it.
Okay. Yeah, and we'll make sure we get it into the show notes and the YouTube video link down below, and some of the posts as well. So it'll be easy to access.
If they go to growthmarketingplan.com, so growthmarketingplan.com, the instructional videos there, the template, sample plans, everything they need to start working on their first plan so that they can start taking action and get results is right there.
That is awesome. Really easy to spell that out too. Should be able to find it. No problem.
Hopefully.
Man, I really appreciate your time, Tim. And I know everyone else listening appreciates your knowledge and expertise in this field as well. So yeah, we'll have to definitely schedule a part 2 to some of this and give more examples. And one of the things I really love doing in my podcast is telling stories. I love to tell real stories, examples, experiences, and don't have to pitch anything,
Yep.
And people can relate and go, yep, I was actually, I've been there, I've done that, I've experienced it, and okay, this is how you guys maybe we did express a way to overcome it. And sometimes I don't even offer a solution. It's just, this is a problem I experienced, or this is a big win. Like this is something that I did to accomplish, or having somebody else express that as well is kind of cool too. So
yeah,
if we schedule a part 2, we'll have to tell some stories too.
Yeah, we can tell stories and dig deeper.
Well, awesome. Tim, I really appreciate you today. And again, if you guys have any questions, I'll make sure that Tim's contact info is in here as well. So you can reach out to him if you need him. And my contact info will be in the show notes and things as well. So if you guys have any questions whatsoever, we're here as a resource for you. And Tim with Rialto Marketing.
Thanks, Braedon.